Welcome back. I'm Shelf Unit, and this is my continuing play of Shadowrun Hong Kong Extended Edition. I've got a bit of a cold today, so I'm going to be sniffing and blowing my nose for probably much longer than I would like. Anyway, so last time we, against what seemed to be time odds, managed to rescue Raymond, and now we are heading out. Hopefully, without too much resistance. No, of course. Okay, let's take this guard, captain. That's perfect. 2 shots, and this guy with changing a weapon, it would increase my damage. Isabel, there we go. You can come over here. Miss. Oh, let's hit that guy. Gobster, you come over there. Spray and pray. And again. Big dunk. You can come here. And I like this baton thing. You can come around there and hit him. Good hit. No, you might as well. Ah, you missed. Raymond. Just go and hide around there. And we'll land. Alright, I'm going to switch back to this baby. And miss. That's not the worst thing in the world though. Come here. Good hit. Miss. Actually aim. Out of ammo, that's annoying. And confirm this. And miss. And Raymond can come in here now. And we'll end it. Oh dear. Miss. Really? 276% shots missed? Miss. 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 Of course. Finally some damage. Miss, of course. This is frankly just sad. Jesus wept. Oh no, we'll come here. And I'll throw down a save. And we'll head down. Or up, or wherever it is we go. Alarms blare as you hustle Raymond from the Special Projects section of Prosperity Tower. But you encounter no resistance. Raymond unsteadily gropes his way through the corridors of the corporate headquarters, holding onto your elbow for support. Occasionally the old man fingers the gauze dressing on his head with his free hand, wincing when he touches a tender patch. 10 minutes pass between the time you exit the building and enter the MTR station. The team remains on high alert, scanning the streets and buildings for sign of Sang security forces, until, like a stream of cockroaches, you scuttle underground into the cool safety of mass transit tunnels. Pay the fare, grab Raymond, and make your way to the subway platform. The sound of the old man's ragged breathing loudly rushing past your ear. Seconds tick slowly whilst you wait for the subway train to arrive. Are we gonna get a new screen, maybe? Here we are, at last. The team hustles Raymond onto a subway car, quietly taking up defensive positions and scoping the platform for signs of pursuit. The old man is unsteady on his feet, but he insists on standing under his own power. He grabs the railing and holds on with white knuckles as the train lurches forward. A group of tourists sit nearby, conspicuously avoiding eye contact with any of you. Well, we've got our ghoul guy. The crew looks over the old man with a bandage on the back of his head, exchanging meaningful expressions. Raymond squints at the odd group surrounding him, but his nod indicates that he understands he's among friends. Wu drags his goggles off his head, bending his knees to get a better look at his foster father. A tangled knot of relief, compassion, resentment and hurt churns across the young man's face as he wrestles with his confused emotions. Fear for his father's health overcomes them. Raymond, you all right, old man, little man? I fought against the reprogramming. The old man's voice is little more than a soft croak. His eyes are sunken and surrounded by dark circles. His mother's medical technology must be amazing. It's hard to believe he's walking under his own power so soon after the surgery. Yeah, well, Grandma's an amazing woman. Her high-tech brain surgery, her ownership of the cops, her execution of my partner and those runners. Wu's face hardens and stands up straight, glaring down at the older man. Oh, and the way she had the plastic-faced man snatch her own son. Amazing woman. It's a real piece of work, no doubt about it. Yeah, tell me about it. Apparently her son is too. Pain and bitterness drip from Wu's deep, raspy voice. This man, whoever he is, has a lot of explaining to do. Are you ready to start telling us the truth, Edward? The old man tilts his head up to the orc towering above him, and although exhausted, his jaw sets firm. Yes, Duncan, I'm ready to tell you everything. I had planned to explain it all when you arrived in Hong Kong. Yep, our meeting was postponed due to kidnapping and murder. The old man's mouth purses and his lips quiver for a moment, but he regains control. I never believed it would come to that. My mother was capable of. He allows the thought to remain unfinished. The old man leans back on the wall of the subway car and gathers his thoughts. He seems to swoon for a moment, then inhales deeply, swallows hard and pulls himself erect. My name is Edward Sang. I am the only son of Josephine Sang, the CEO of Sang Mechanical Services. Heir to the company. Before I left Hong Kong, I was the Vice President of Special Projects, the up-and-coming star of the company. Is Prosperity one of your special projects? Something you've never seen before washes over the tired old man's face. Shame. You've heard of it, Prosperity. I see. Raymond takes a breath, and the laboured croak of his voice drops to a monotone. I was part of a project my mother envisioned, to rebuild Kowloon Walled City, a walking neighbourhood for underprivileged citizens, fully integrated with job training programs, co-op childcare, drug counselling centres. It was a new approach to low-income housing in the East, a springboard to prosperity for hundreds of thousands. Yeah, that doesn't sound like the place I grew up in. Raymond is 20 years away, doesn't seem to hear her. Mother personally oversaw every aspect of the project to ensure that every detail was executed properly. She was each project manager herself, chaired regular status meetings with architects, builders, visited the work site for surprise inspections. She was driven to make her renewed, revitalised walled city a success. So that was Prosperity, another low-income housing project? No, the walled city wasn't the Prosperity project. Raymond covers his eyes with a liver-spotted hand, the dread end radiating from him like the stink of decayed meat. Prosperity was something I built, at the centre of the walled city. Then his hand drops, his eyes roll back in his head, and his face goes slack. A moment later, an invisible grip takes hold of your chest, constricts it, squeezing the air from your lungs. Your vision greys from the edges, and the world surges backward, leaving you suspended in the distance, on the periphery of reality. Something is hurtling toward you, approaching from the fringe of your mind like a bullet train. It screams ahead, closer and closer, until it's upon you, overwhelming you with its presence, and then nothing, silence, until a scream pierces your consciousness, pulls you screaming to its source. You're back in the walled city, the city of darkness. Ah. Okay. Your mind wrenches, inverts, and then violently jerks back into your skull. Your stomach cramps hard and the taste of bile burns your throat. A thin trickle of cold sweat slides down the small of your back. Your eyes refuse to focus. Your crew fares no better. Gobbet pulls herself from the floor, madness and folly squeaking worriedly in the folds of her clothing. Isabel grips a railing, her back to the group, retching silently. Wu breathes deeply, his hands on his knees. That wasn't a dream. He shakes his head like a lion's mane and spits on the floor. That was something else. Gobbet's breathing shallow. She's covered in the thin sheen of sweat. It was a vision. I saw some sort of machine inside the walled city. Isabel turns, squinting in concentration. Her lips are white. It was churning something. It felt wrong, impossible. I think it was ripping. I don't know. Reality. The orc girl shudders. It was ripping a hole in reality. I believe we have just fallen in over our heads, says Gaishu the Bayan, whom we didn't bring with us. Wu straightens up, drawing the back of a wrist across his mouth. The hell was that, Raymond? No answer. Wu spins to find Raymond cowering, his head in his hands, shuddering and weeping. She's here. Breathe, Raymond. Breathe. Shouldn't have waited. Shouldn't have hid. He looks up at you with bloodshot eyes. She's here. The Queen with 1,000 teeth. Oh, this sounds lovely, doesn't it? Delightful. Raymond rocks in place, hugging himself, staring past you at someone only he can see. I left prosperity in there. I left prosperity in there. I left prosperity in there. Uh-oh. Looks like Raymond's gone. Bye-bye. Shh, Gobbet. Isabel whispers her admonishment. Take it easy, Raymond. You're with me, Sarah. The old man looks at you as if seeing you for the first time. Sarah, you came. Raymond blinks, his eyes open. His voice is weak, hesitant, disconnected somehow. Are we in the subway? The right corner of his mouth twitches noticeably. Why is he stuttering? He's not. I used to stutter. This doesn't sound like a stutter to me. Something else is going on. Could be the visions, could be the aborted brain surgery, or some combination of the two. Something bad is happening, but began a long time ago, and I'm responsible. His eyes open wide. The Queen, prosperity. What is prosperity, Raymond? Why is all this happening? Raymond turns his head towards you, trying to focus. This is all because of me and my mother. Something we did a long time ago. He puts a hand out and steadies himself on Wu's arm. My fault. Prosperity and these people. Those poor people. The Prosperity Project? Shame eclipses the old man's face. You know about prosperity? Yes, sort of. Wu's tone gets a little sharper. We've already covered this, Raymond. We know that it's the centre of the walled city, and that Edward Sang built it. Why don't you start at the beginning, Raymond? Tell us what all this is about. In the beginning, sometime in the 20s, my mother was awarded the researchers for the word, the contract to rebuild the housing development, the walled city. Well, from the results, I'd say your mom kind of blew it. Prosperity failed. Frustration appears in the old man's tired eyes. I told you the walled city wasn't the Prosperity Project. Prosperity was the fortune engine I built at the centre of the walled city. My special project. Fortune engine? What are you talking about? Wu sneers. You can't create fortune, Raymond. You kinda can, Guncho. Some practitioners of feng shui believe they can do it. Ever heard of the Bagwire of the 8 Aspirations? Wu looks at Gobbet flatly. No, Gobbet. I must have skipped school that day. Keep going, Gobbet. I want to hear this. Gobbet wrinkles her nose at Wu. It's neo feng shui. Masters of the craft can map the flow of ki and how it responds to different aspects in someone's life. Fame, relationships, creativity, inner knowledge, health, and fortune. That's 6. I thought you said there were 8 aspects. The little orc shrugs. I don't remember the other 2, but one of them was definitely fortune. She looks sidelong at Raymond. So what does your fortune engine do? The fortune engine was designed to improve the balance of ki in a negative ki environment. A negative ki environment? Somewhere shitty, like a slum. Raymond corrects her. Like a low-income housing project. I believe that with the fortune engine, the rebuilt walled city might never become a slum. He drifts off for a moment, remembering. Then he squeezes his eyes shut and lowers his head. But the machine malfunctioned. Malfunctioned how? A mechanism I created to circulate negative ki in the walled city. He brings a liver-spotted hand to his mouth. It got stuck. Stuck on what? Raymond rises slowly, pulling himself from his crumpled heap. His tone turns instructive. The old Raymond, but this time his explanation is halting and weary. Think of the fortune engine as a sort of propeller blade moving through astral space, circulating ki, keeping it. He hunts for the word. Fresh. When ki flows, when the rhythm is right, the results are positive, fortuitous. When I brought my design for the fortune engine to my mother, she embraced it. He exhales. She more than embraced it, she bankrolled it. Put an entire division of Sang Mechanical under me to develop it. Sounds like a big bet. Raymond nods rapidly. The biggest of her career. Mother said that if the machine could bring fortune to the less fortunate, it would prove my theory. And if it could help the poor, imagine what a fortune engine could do for Josephine Sang. Wu's jaw clenches. But that's not what happened, was it? Something went wrong. People in the walled city didn't benefit from your fortune engine, did they, Raymond? Wu's jaw clenches. But that's not what happened, was it? Something went wrong. Okay, that's, yeah. People in the walled city didn't benefit. Next. The old man bows his head. Doesn't answer. Raymond, why didn't your fortune engine work? It got stuck. He doesn't raise his head. The mechanism I created to circulate the negative ki in the walled city got stuck. You can see Wu's patience blowing away like autumn leaves in a high wind. He rubs his head viciously in frustration. Viscously, apparently. Stuck on what, Raymond? The old man gets a confused look on his face. His lips move soundlessly for several moments. Wu leans in close, drops to a whisper, seethes in his foster father's face. Stuck on what? Raymond winces at Wu's tone and stumbles back a step. But it does the job and the old man focuses. This is something in astral space. I wasn't sure what. That sounds bad. The machine started pulling negative ki. The old man's breathing begins to accelerate, and the walled city started to fill with it. Fortunes turned bad. I've been in places where the feng shui was really bad, and that's not what I felt when I was in the walled city. No, ki needs to flow. Eventually the enormous pool of negative ki becomes toxic. Fortunes turn from bad to worse, much worse. Raymond's shoulders slump. Mother's vision for a rebuilt, revitalized walled city fell to ruin. It only took a few years for the trapped toxic ki to turn a brand new housing development into a hellish slum. Why didn't you turn it off? I couldn't. Something happened. Part of the malfunction. We couldn't turn it off. And why didn't you blow it up? Wrap it in C6 and turn it into a scrap heap? Mother refused. Wu's tone turns icy cold. Why? I never found out. She wouldn't tell me. She would only say that it wasn't worth spending the additional resources to figure out how to fix it, or even how to turn it off. Words start spilling out of the old man. She sealed off the maintenance room. Our engineers poured a sarcophagus of thick concrete around it, so no one would ever find it, ever find out what we had done. Then she wrote the project off as a business loss and moved on like nothing had ever happened, right? Yes. His face flushes and he fidgets with the gauze of the bandage on his head. After that I left Hong Kong, started a new life in Seattle, found you too. You should have stayed, tried to do something about it. Wu grimaces disappointed. You're a coward, Raymond. Yes. Raymond stands up straight, takes a shaky step towards Wu. Yes, Duncan, I was a coward. And the guilt and the burden of my cowardice gripped me like a vice that never loosened. It eaten me from the inside for 20 years. He licks his lips, tries to breathe. And then the nightmares began. Horrible. Still I kept working on the problem, night and day. That's the work that kept you in your study until all hours in the morning. It took me years, even after you left, to make the connections, find what to do. But I did. I figured it out. And still the nightmares intensified until they became unbearable. I knew I had to come back, fix what I had done. That's why I contacted you, to help me see it through. Wu mumbles something, but all you can make out is the word coward. Wait, there's still a piece missing. What's causing the visions we're all having? Raymond's voice falters, flattens. And when the machine malfunctioned, when the circulator became stuck in astral space, it lodged in another domain. His ways and his lips began to tremble. And something lived there. Not good. The old man begins to drift. After 20 years of constant force, the circulator behind you began tearing astral space, created a rupture in her domain. He begins rocking in place, and now she's pushing through, and now she's pushing through, and now she's pushing through. Yeah, she's pushing through, alright. Who snarls at his foster father? The queen with 1,000 fucking teeth. A thing you brought here, Raymond. Raymond stops his walking, becomes fully lucid. He snaps back at Wu. I understand that, Mr. Wu. That's why I came back. I believe she's only partially here. She hasn't pushed all the way through yet. She's probing her new hunting ground. Must. The emotional strain of his snap at Wu rattles him again. I know what to do now. How to extract the circulator. Shut the machine down before she can fully manifest. Just get me to the center of the walled city, to the fortune engine. I will do the rest. Please help me. Help them. And you helped us overcome some hairy mistakes when we were kids. Now we get to help you fix yours. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go back in there. Little Decker's eyes open wide, more white than iris. The breathing becomes faster, shallower. It's not just a thing in there, Rain. It's a Yama King, a demon goddess. We're trapped as we can't run, and believe me, I want to. It's all I've been thinking of. The rat shaman's shoulders rise with tension. But the APB is still helping us in those visions. I got a feeling they're not going to stop unless we make them stop. And that fragile old man is the only way to do it. She looks down at her friend. Her voice is gentle. We gotta take him in there. We gotta help him fix this. Goichi's face remains impassive, but his eyelids lower in anticipation. I had the opportunity to kill a god. I cannot allow the opportunity to pass unanswered. Wu's voice drops to a mumble. I hate this fucking country. I hate this life. Sarah is right. We owe you, Raymond, and I'm not walking away from that. I'll help you fix your mess or die trying. Then we'll be even. He stares evenly at Raymond, his voice cold. I'm no coward. Okay. Talk to the triad soldier. Fear grips people streaming from inside the walled city. The storm isn't a typhoon, it's something else. So let's take a look and see if there's anything around we can do. No, we're here. Okay, let's hop on board. See if we can get any more cash. I need to go and buy some more things. Check for new messages. No unread messages. Go back. Walk away. Anybody to chat to? Actually, let's have a quick look at our stash. We've got plenty of items in the stash. Plenty of items. No, there's our gear. Maybe we'll take this. I think we're good. Duncan. No goblet. Not easy. Let's head back down. Let's head down and out. Is there anybody, are these guys here? Let's just quickly wander in here. No, I don't think we need to. Don't think we need to really worry about anything. There's hardly anybody here. We made it everywhere we need, where we've had to do. Let's talk to Raymond. Raymond and Wu stand near each other in the rain, staring at the walled city, not talking. The old man looks at you, wary but alert. You look like you have something on your mind, says Miss Evenstar. There's a lot we still don't know about you, isn't there? Of course, you saw the world, saw me, through a child's eyes. How much do we actually learn about our parents before they die? Well, today we learned you're a genius who can create magical machines. We learned that you have a rich, powerful mother on the ruling council of Hong Kong who kidnapped you to reprogram your brain. And we learned that the two of you are responsible for the suffering of thousands. Pretty big score from my perspective. Did I get everything, Sarah? You left out that he's risking his life to try and fix it. That's it, he can't fix it. He wheels on Raymond, closes the gap between them. You realise we can't fix it, right, Edward? You can't erase 20 years of misery and suffering. The best you can hope for is to remove the unnatural part of it. Allow that horrible slum to be horrible without toxic key or whatever it was you said. You're not going to push to make it all better. Button, I suppose. Yeah, button. We can stop it from getting worse. We can stop her. Alright, let's not forget at the end of this road there's a demon goddess waiting for us. And I don't think she's going to be too sweet on the idea of us closing the door now. No, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to be like him. I'm not going to run. Raymond cringes at that. He screws his eyes shut, trying to ward it off. But then he's still for a moment and his jaw sets. And when he opens them again, his eyes are defiant, authoritative. I did what I did to help people, Mr. Wu. And when I couldn't help them anymore, I left them and I continued helping people in Seattle. In that teen center, in that slum I took you from. Or did you forget where you were from? Oh, I didn't forget, little man. How could I, with you reminding us of it every chance you got? How you saved the poor little Chinese boy. He lowers his head until it inches from the old man's. And after you ran for the thousands who looked just like him. My motivations for helping you aren't relative, Duncan. He points a bony finger at Wu, runs it up and down the oak towering above it. Look at the results. Look at you, the results are what counts. Wu doesn't pull back. He leaves his face a hair's breadth from his foster father. I know, Edward. The motivation for building that machine aren't relevant here either. Wu cocks a thumb at the walled city, the throng was running from it in terror. The results are what counts. You two need to focus on the job at hand. We can deal with this later. You're right. He takes in the scene and folding around him with a grim determination. We need to do what we can do. Okay, and I think I'm going to leave it there before the... what the hell is down here? That looks a bit grim. So, I'm going to leave it here. And I think next episode we're going to head into the walled city. So thank you ever so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, please subscribe. If not, don't worry about it. Thank you ever so much again, and goodbye.